Good evening and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Samantha Casesa here at the 14th Annual Soho International Film Festival for the New York premiere of Scrap, a new feature film starring Anthony Rapp. I'm going to be talking to some of the filmmakers and the stars of the movie later today, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Sponsored by Black Magic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post and broadcast industries. blackmagicdesign.com. The Tonkawa Film Festival, celebrating short films from around the world. Submissions are open, and now use the promo code NRFTW to receive 50% off your first submission. Submit today. Visit tonkawafilmfestival.com. And by JMR Rentals, professional, digital, cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. jmrny.com.
I'm here with Vivian Kerr, the director of Scrap. We are going to talk about this beautiful movie that she has directed. Tell me, Vivian, what does it feel like to be here at the Soho Film Fest for your premiere?
It's very exciting because I was actually here 4 years ago with the short film version. So to be back 4 years later with the feature feels very full circle. It's very rewarding.
And what are you excited about people getting to see from this movie? First, tell us a little bit more about the plot for people who may not know, and then what are you hoping we're all going to be able to get out of it once we get to see the movie?
Sure. Scrap is a dramedy. It's about a brother and sister. And at the beginning of the movie, my character Beth has recently been laid off and is living in her car and sort of hiding that from her estranged older brother, Ben. It's a family story. It's a story about reconciliation, and I hope people kind of helps them reflect a little bit on maybe some fallings out or family issues that haven't been properly worked through, and maybe encourages them to pick up the phone and call their sort of estranged brother and sister or reconcile with a family member that they haven't talked to in years, because the theme of the film really is that life is really precious and short.
And what was it like to go from turning this from a short into a full-length feature? What were the challenges that came up during that period of time, and what was an exciting part of that process that you didn't expect?
I think part of the challenge was just because it took so long to raise the money to make the feature, wanting to make sure we could keep our cast, wanting to make sure we could, just keep the same people that, I loved working with Anthony Rapp on the short, and so I wanted to make sure that he would be able to play Ben in the feature, but years pass and people get other jobs, and so, but I was so lucky that he was willing to make it work with his schedule.
And for you, with directing specifically, what was your prize moments from the process of this when it came to directing? Obviously, you have this amazing cast that you've been working with for both the short and the feature, but specifically in directing the feature, what did you learn about the process that you love?
I think just working with so many talented crew members, I really, I just got so lucky with all of the crew that I worked with, and their contributions cannot be overstated. They did such an amazing job, and as a director you get to see how talented all these people who work in such specialized fields are, so it's such a privileged vantage point.
And what was it like for you also being behind and in front of the camera at the same time? Was that difficult to juggle? Did you find it to be a natural, beautiful thing that you were like, this is totally right?
I mean, I actually really enjoyed it. It definitely took a few days, I think, of wrapping my brain around how I was going to do that, but I loved it. I really enjoyed it, and I'm actually going to do it again on my second feature.
Perfect. That leads right into my next question, which is, what are you up to? What do you have coming up? Tell us about what's going on next.
I'm actually in post-production on my second feature film, which is totally different. It's like a psychological thriller called Seance. So working on that now, and hopefully that'll premiere sometime in 2024.
Wonderful. And lastly, where can people find you online if they want to hear more about you and get excited for those upcoming projects?
Sure. Scrap has a website, scrapthefilm.com, and we're on Instagram at scrapthefilm.
I am here with Stephen Clark, the executive producer of Scrap here at the Soho International Film Festival. He also had a minute to do a little bit of acting in this film as well. But primarily, tell me, Stephen, what is it like to have Scrap be here at the Soho International Film Festival? What are you excited about with that?
Oh, it's just wonderful to be here. Such a great festival, such a great venue, wonderful theater to present Scrap, and really excited to let New York see it, finally. It's been a year, right?
And have you been part of the project from the beginning? I know it started as a short many years ago, and it's now a full-length feature, but there was a bit of a break in between. Were you part of it the whole way through, and what's that been like?
I got involved probably midway through, sort of early on in the feature production. First as an investor, and then there was a little part that I asked Vivian if I could play, and she agreed, and it was a lot of fun. I got to be in a scene with Anthony and Lana. That was it was surreal, not being like a professional actor myself, but no, it was a lot of fun. I think every take almost we ended up just like breaking out laughing together. So they were wonderful to work with. I mean, amazing actors.
And is this a new path for you? Are we going down the road of acting?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's like a bug. Once you get bitten, you sort of feel like you keep wanting to do it. So yeah, I would love to keep trying small parts and sort of build on that.
And what about the story specifically made you really excited to get involved? What about that, latched on and said, I need to get even more involved in this in many different ways?
First of all, it's a little bit of an unusual story. You don't see a lot of like sibling stories in cinema today. And that was the first thing that sort of got my attention, just how unique it was. And then, through the other sort of story arcs, with Vivian's character, Beth, the homelessness and sort of hiding that and living in her car. I mean, it really just hit a lot of issues that are sort of real problems in society. And it just addressed them, kind of wove all those things together really beautifully.
Amazing. And where can people find you online if they want to hear more about you and follow along?
Hey, I'm on Instagram, Dr. Stephen Clark. Just follow me and you'll know all there is to know.
I'm here with Sadat Kadakia, one of the executive producers of Scrap here at the Soho International Film Festival. Tell me, Sadat, what got you involved in this project and what got you really excited about latching on?
So I met Vivian like 3-4 years ago, and we reviewed the script. It was just amazing, and I saw the short film as well. So that's what led me to kind of invest in the movie.
And what did you see in terms of a difference between going from a short film to a feature film? What had changed? What had grown? Obviously, you're going to have more story, but what in terms of the heart of the movie had really developed over that change in format?
Because it was a feature film, I think Vivian and Anthony, they put so much effort into this. Like every scene was kind of thought through. Dialogues were constantly rehearsed. So I think it was overall it was a very good experience.
Absolutely. And what do you have going on in the future? What projects are you working on that you're excited about and you want people to know about?
One of the feature film is Winter Island. It's shot entirely in Seattle. I'm very excited about that. Of course, I'm doing another one with Vivian Seance. I just got involved in one of the projects in Scotland. So that is The Baby in the Basket. It's really gothic, 1690s kind of a thing. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Amazing. And where can people find you online if they want to hear more about your projects?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So yeah, they can reach out to me.
I'm here with Anthony Rapp, who plays Ben in Scrap here at the Soho International Film Festival. Welcome, Anthony. I know you're often on stage. We have you on screen this time. What is it like to be here at a film festival, especially during these crazy, crazy times that we are in right now in this industry?
Well, I love working on film, but especially I love working on small, character-driven independent film, which Scrap epitomizes. I don't know the exact number of people in the cast, but I feel like it's somewhere between 10 and 15, maybe, somewhere, Vivian would be able to tell you that, but to be part of something that is just pure passion, done for the work, done for the thrill of getting to tell a story and explore human themes, that's why I'm an actor, and you don't always get to do that on the screen. Sometimes you're, running around shooting at weird bug creatures, In this case, I got to sit across the table from Vivian and be mad at her as my sister.
So I can see that you are repping SAG-AFTRA today. We are currently at an independent film festival that is part of the interim agreement. Will you tell us a little bit about what that is like and, how you as an actor in SAG are working through this strike in other ways as well?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that we have the interim agreement, which means that Scrap and all the other films that are being represented here have made an agreement with the union to work under the terms that the AMPTP, the big money dudes, are saying no to. So these small companies are saying yes to it, which proves that what we're asking for is not too much, and it also ensures that if these films have a future distribution of any kind, that they will be also held to that standard. So it's a way of demonstrating that what we are asking for will not ruin companies and will actually work for all people.
Absolutely. Now, in getting into Scrap, I know that you shot the short and then the feature, and there were many, many years apart from that. What in that time did you get to learn about that character? Were there new challenges that you faced in playing him a second time in a longer format?
Really, Vivian presented a feature-length script that was so wonderfully rich and surprising that I know when we did this short, I didn't even know that she had that idea or the notion of expanding it. So you never know how that's going to be. And happily, when I read the screenplay for the feature, I was like, this is wonderful, and it makes perfect character sense in every way. In particular, the journey that Ben has with his wife gets fully fleshed out and explored in the most nuanced and to me very honest and authentic manner. And then I had the extraordinary pleasure of working with Lana Parrilla as my wife, who is a wonderful actor. So that kind of thing was the great surprise of getting to do the feature version of the short. And then honestly, Vivian, as the writer, director, and actor, it was amazing to see that she could wear all those hats so effortlessly and elegantly and still be absolutely in the scene with me as an actor, absolutely understanding what she needed to be watching for as a director, and absolutely always rigorous about the language and the text. So I don't know how she did it, truly, but it was great that she got to then step into that role as the director since she didn't direct the short.
Absolutely. We did get to hear from her, and she talked about how much she loved being able to wear all those different hats at once, which is not something people usually find. It is usually a very daunting thing for people, so it's great to hear that it translated also to the other actors on set, how fun it was to have that same person in multiple roles. And in terms of, the story and the impact of it, what are you hoping that the audience will get out of it? What are you hoping that the audience is going to be feeling at the end of this movie?
Well, I mean, I sort of talked about it earlier a little bit, but stories that tell the truth about human experience to me are always very important, but especially stories about people who are, a little bit below the radar. In this case, her character is struggling with homelessness, and in a way that, it's not necessarily the way you typically think people are struggling with homelessness. It's an under-examined, under-reported phenomenon that is happening for many people in the middle class of home insecurity. And that's one sort of big headline that at least maybe it'll start people thinking of becoming more aware of that and being able to support their fellow citizens who might be going through that sort of thing. And then another level, to hopefully be moved by the truth and honesty of the nature of the complicated relationships between Ben and his sister and Ben and his wife. I know I'm speaking about Ben, but it's certainly what she's going through with all of her complications. Those things I think and hope will resonate for people as they reflect on their own relationships.
Absolutely. And for you personally, Anthony, what do you have coming up that you want us to know about and keep an eye on?
Well, during our film and television strike, I'm also working happily, thankfully, on some theater work. My show Without You is happening in San Francisco and then elsewhere after that. I'm also doing a voice work in a video game, which has been a long hope and dream of mine to be able to do that kind of work. So I've been fortunate to have that. And I'm also doing a tremendous amount of dad duty for our 9-month-old son. Rob.
Incredible. That must be the hardest job of all of them combined. And where can we find you online if we want to follow you and hear more about what you're up to?
On Twitter, now it's X, at Albino Kid, and on Instagram at Albino Kid 1026.
Thank you so much. This has been Anthony Rapp, who plays Ben in Scrap here at the Soho International Film Festival.